I'm Laura Rose Thorogood, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm also founder of LGBT Mummies, which is an organisation that supports LGBT plus women and people on the path to motherhood or parenthood. I've been with my wife 15 years, married nearly 12, and over the last decade we have had our 3 children. So with the first child, we decided my wife would carry. So we looked at fertility options, and locally at the time and where we lived, we didn't have any fertility funding access. So we had to go down the alternative route of paying privately. And we decided we wanted to go through a clinic because that was the right path for us. So we decided on IUI because it was a lot more cost effective and less invasive. My wife had PCOS. So at first we were thinking, okay, I'd probably carry, I'm a little bit younger, 4 years, and it would be me because she had severe PCOS. But when we went to the clinic, they were really inclusive, really supportive, and had a conversation with us that they could look at that. It might take a little while, but she'd get down. And so we went down that path and had IUI for our first child. And it did take a few tries. So we had 3 failed IUI attempts, some with medication, some with not. And then on the 4th, we got pregnant. So we were really, really excited. And then unfortunately, at the end of the first trimester, near on 3 months, she lost the baby, we miscarried. So it was really, really difficult. And she just said emotionally, like psychologically, physically, we had to take a break. So we took a break of about 3 or 4 months, and then we started again, and this was the 5th attempt, and we didn't know how much longer it was going to take, but it was really, really stressful, especially for her. But on the 5th attempt, we had our eldest, our daughter, who's nearly 9. And then a few years later, we decided that we wanted to grow our family, and that I would carry because we both wanted that opportunity to birth and be pregnant. Went to the clinic, and second IUI round, no medication, natural cycles, and I fell pregnant really, really quickly. So it was amazing. And our second child, our son, is now 4, nearly 5. And then because we're both from big families, we thought, we'd move to a different location, different area. And we'd had a few years in between, and we said we want to try again, have a big family, have more children if we can afford it. So again, went to the same clinic, same sperm donor from a sperm bank in America that we used, and we decided to go again, but this time I would carry again, and just made the assumption, silly really, that I would fall naturally. I was 33, I ate really well, I was healthy, I didn't smoke, drink, and went for 3 failed cycles of IUI just before the pandemic, and just didn't really know what wasn't working, why it wasn't happening. And it was really stressful because obviously it worked so much easier last time. And it came to it, and we had further testing done to be told that my ovarian reserve had diminished by half. It's just something that happens, secondary infertility, and we didn't really know what had happened and why it wasn't working. So because we only had 2 sperm vials left, we decided to make the decision to move to IVF. And right at that point, the pandemic hit, the first lockdown, we got told we'll do an egg collection. So we'll move to IVF, do an egg collection, and it's something that we'll have to just freeze your eggs for the moment until we know when the clinics will be able to, operate and give you that transfer and get you pregnant. And we were happy with that. And then full lockdown hit, as in they couldn't even fit the egg collection in. They were told we can't operate, we can't do any collections. And I was just devastated. I just had this fear that, oh my gosh, my time's running out and I'm not going to get pregnant in time. And it was really stressful. And then we just had to take that time to go back and go, actually, we're really lucky. We already have 2 beautiful miracle children. I've been able to carry once, hopefully I'll carry again. But this scary pandemic was happening, and we didn't really know how long the clinics would be closed for. But all I could do at that time is, together as a team, psychologically just get mentally fit and prepared and look forward and think, actually, we've got something really exciting to plan for. When that call came, we were then really excited to start. When I went for a fresh transfer, thinking, oh my gosh, I've got some great embryos, not a lot. So I had 20, it went down to 10, and then it went down to 5. But for me, I was like, that's 5 attempts, that's amazing. When it came to it, had 2 embryos transferred. I think we had that thought of getting a bit greedy, we've just got to give it a go and just see how it goes. Knowing the work that we do in our organisation, LGBT Mummies, that sometimes it's not going to work just because you put 2 back. And it didn't work, so we put 2 back. And it failed again, and I was absolutely devastated. And I think at that point, I was really rock bottom emotionally, because I thought, I don't know why it's not working. I'm doing all the right things. And then you second guess yourself, you're temperature checking, you're Googling and reading research papers in the middle of the night, and you get yourself in such a state and you think, this is not helpful. And it's all the things that we tell the community that we support not to do, that you do anyway because you're so desperate for that child and that pregnancy. So we then had to go for a frozen transfer, and on that 5th attempt I got pregnant. In that time, I think it gave me that perspective of knowing how much more difficult IVF was, the hormones, the emotions, the medication, the financial strain, the costs, all those barriers and implications that come out of having fertility treatment, but also being LGBT plus as well. So not having the access to funding, having to pay for it privately, having to scrimp and scrape and find that money together, and then going through that, that cycle of failed cycles. It was really, really quite soul destroying. But when you get to that point, you're so excited, and then you're like, actually, all of a sudden, I now have a new fear. I'm now pregnant, and I'm in the middle of a pandemic. And what do I do now? So it was a really scary time. But for us, we've been incredibly lucky that we've had 3 miracle children.